We all know everything's gotten a lot more expensive, so if you're looking for an easy way to celebrate a birthday without spending a whole lot of money on buying a cake, this cookie cake is the perfect way to do it. So your ingredients are exactly the same as they would be for any chocolate chip cookie recipe, but we're going to make a pretty big batch because we're going to be putting it in a half sheet pan. Cup and a half of white sugar, a cup and a half of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 sticks of butter, and you want this to be softened, a cup of shortening, and those shortening sticks work great, but just regular shortening's great. Crisco does work a little bit better. 4 eggs, 4.5 cups of flour, 3 teaspoons of vanilla, and then 2 12-ounce bags of mini chocolate chips. Use your mixer with a paddle attachment, and the scraper beaters work really, really well for this. But if you don't have a stand mixer, a regular hand mixer works great, or just use a regular bowl with a wooden spoon. It might take a little bit longer, but it'll work just fine. Each of these processes is just going to take you a little bit longer than it would in a regular mixer. So first thing you're going to do is add your shortening and your room temperature butter and mix that together until it's well combined. Then we're going to add both of our sugars, your brown sugar and your white sugar. And in some cases, people will say to put your salt and your baking soda in with your flour. I prefer to just put them in at this stage because it's going to mix all in it with this process anyway. So go ahead and add your salt and your baking soda in there, and we're just going to mix this together until it's fluffy and it's lightened a little bit in color. This mixing method is called creaming. You're going to do this for a lot of cakes as well. So if you ever see a method that starts out with butter and sugar, if you follow the same process, you will be in pretty good shape. Generally with the cake, you're going to whip it a little bit longer than you would with cookies, however. So just keep that going until it gets lighter and fluffier, and now we are going to add your eggs in one at a time. It is important that you let each egg incorporate completely before you add the next one in. And the reason for that is that we are trying to make sure that those eggs do not separate from the butter, because the butter is all fat-based and the eggs are a mixture of water and fat. And so this is going to allow it to form an emulsion, which keeps the dough or batter that you're making from separating. So you do want to add these one at a time and let that fully incorporate, because some of the things that are in the eggs are actually going to keep that from separating. Then we're going to add the vanilla. As you can see, I'm very carefully measuring here. And we're just going to let that incorporate a little bit more, and then turn the speed all the way down, and we're going to slowly add that flour in. I have poofed flour all over myself many, many times. I love these wide bowls because it's a great way to add things in slowly. And you're going to make a little bit of a mess with this. I have figured out that there's just no way to avoid it. Make sure your bowl is locked as well. And we want to mix this as little as possible. But once that flour is fully incorporated, you're just going to add in your chocolate chips. And like I said, I like the mini ones. They're just a little bit better for this mixture just because they spread in the batter a little bit better. We're mixing this as little as possible because the more you mix this, the tougher your cookie is going to be. And nobody wants your cookies to be super, super tough. So you're just going to pull that off of your mixer, and we're going to get ready to pan this up. And this is a lot different than panning up your normal cookies. And now we're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. Okay, we're looking, we're waiting. Okay, we don't have any of those. So if you want to help us out on this channel, we are really trying to grow this channel a whole lot. So if you guys could go ahead and click that subscribe button, that would be great. So go ahead and spray the sides of that half sheet pan and line it with parchment. You don't have to spray the middle because we are going to be lining it with the parchment paper to keep that from sticking. And parchment paper is a great way to keep things from sticking. You can order it in the sizes that fit sheet pans exactly. You can go to a restaurant supply store and get those pretty easily. But you're going to put all your cookie dough on your pan at one time. And I am wearing gloves because, not necessarily because you need to for food safety reasons, but just because it gets pretty sticky and gross. But the easiest thing to do is to spray your hands with that cooking spray and then press that dough all the way out to the edges. And we're not too worried about handprints but you do want to try to keep that parchment spread out underneath there. It is going to want to pull around and not spread out evenly. As you can see, it's pulled back a little bit, and so you're going to want to make sure that it stays on the bottom of the pan completely. So just kind of stretch it out, but use the heels of your hands and your body weight to your advantage in this particular case, and just keep on pressing it out all the way to the corners. This doesn't spread a whole lot in the pan, so you do want to make sure that you have it in the shape, but we are not worrying too much about all of the little handprints in there. Just get it as even in terms of thickness as you can. So now we are going to work on getting the top even and getting those handprints out. So you place a piece of parchment on top of there, and then you're just going to press another sheet pan on top of it and kind of take your fist and hit it. And that is going to even up the top so that it is not got all those handprints on there. So we're going to bake this at about 350 for 15 to 20 minutes until it's brown and the middle isn't gooey. If you have convection, that's going to work a little bit better because that's going to keep your heat even. But convection is going to keep the air circulating so that everything is nice. I also bake this on a double thick sheet pan. So I put that sheet pan from the top that I just used to press that down underneath, and that way I know that the bottom isn't going to burn. But once this is completely cool, you're going to flip this out onto one cake board. And you could ice this side, but I just prefer to ice it the right way up. So then you're going to use another cake board to carefully flip that cookie over. If you do not have cake boards, if you just use a regular cardboard box and cover it with foil, and then cover that foil with saran wrap, that's a great way to use things you already have. Then we are going to pipe rosettes of icing around the edge. For the recipe for this icing, I will link the video right below. This is a Swiss meringue buttercream that's super fluffy and nice. Then we are going to place a half an Oreo between each of those rosettes because this is a cookie inception. And then you are going to pipe on your message. And if you are not comfortable with piping, most of your grocery stores or your celebration areas of your super centers have got those little sugar letters available. So if you don't feel comfortable piping, there's definitely other options. But if you do feel comfortable piping, you can do this with a Ziploc bag and just cut a little corner off of it. I'm not even using a tip in this particular case, but you can pipe on your message, and there is your cookie cake. This ended up being super good, and it's a great way for those people that don't necessarily like cake to have something that they can enjoy as well. And it doesn't actually take as much time as making cookies from this much of a batch. So if you are looking for a great way to celebrate a birthday and not spend a lot of money on cookie cake, this tastes so much better than the ones you buy in the store, and it's going to come from the heart, and you're going to enjoy it so much more than one that you purchase because you're going to have the pride that you made it. So I highly recommend you try this out, and let me know in the comments if you decide to. Just a reminder that we do have our 2 membership levels, and we would love to have you as a member. We're going to be doing discussions over there of things that you might be looking for in terms of recipes. I can help you out if you have a recipe that hasn't worked for a long time that might be a family recipe. So we've got all sorts of ideas for building community over there, so we would love to have you. So we have our 2 different levels, and we would love to have you. But if you're not able to do that and that's not on the budget, I completely understand. But we would love to have you as a subscriber, and let us know in the comments if you decide to try this out. We'll see you next week.